Dan Runte in Bigfoot and David Morris in Equalizer start things off. The second race will pit Lyle Hancock and Gravedigger against Jackie Willman in the new and improved version of the Taurus racing machine. Then veteran Fred Schaefer will race against another old pro, Gary Porter. You know how it works. The three winners and the fastest loser from round one go on to the semifinals. The trucks are ready. So is the voice of USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge, Joe Lowe. Fasten your seatbelts, check your rear steer, because it's time to turn on the power. Here's Joe.
Thank you very much, Ken. The crowd is ready to see racing action, round-y-round racing action between the Equalizer and Bigfoot. Dan Runte up in the Bigfoot monster truck talked about a round-y-round course.
Circular track versus straight track, what do you like better?
I like this better. There's a little more, what am I trying to say, a little more competition in it, a little more driver skill in it.
And he's got driver skill. That is Dan Runte driving the Bigfoot monster truck out of St. Louis, Missouri. But his competition is from Springfield, Tennessee, the guy who's been winning everything so far this season, David Morris and the Equalizer.
It looks like maybe one track is going to be a little bit better than the other one. I think one of them's getting more air than the other track is. So I've got fast time, so I'm going to try to stay on the take off on the side that maybe gets the less air, but both trucks will have to run on both sides because we're doing a round course, so it's going to be a tough course.
Excellent point from David Morris, the Equalizer, but that starting point couldn't have a whole lot to do with it, especially with reaction time off the line. The crowd is ready, the trucks are ready, and here we go. Look at this. They're both sailing through the air, making that turn. The rear steer being used by both monster trucks extremely well. Bigfoot with a slight edge. The Equalizer having to play catch-up, and uh-oh! Look what happened to Bigfoot. He took out the turn pole. Bigfoot, Dan Runte, wins the race, but he took out the turn pole, and that's going to cost him a win. He's getting the news right now, and this is where it happened. Bigfoot makes the turn, takes out that pole. He must clear that pole. He did not do it. He came around. He does get the win. He was the first one over the finish line, but he took out that turn pole. He's disqualified, and a tough break for the big blue Ford from St. Louis, Missouri. He was looking great. He had that rear steer locked in. David Morris was playing catch-up. Everything looked like it was going Bigfoot's way. But alas and alack, that pole tells the tale, laying down. It cost him. So as you can see, Bigfoot first over the line. And unfortunately, he may be the first one on the trailer here at Providence. Our next matchup between the Gravedigger and Taurus. Lyle Hancock up in the cockpit of Gravedigger. Jackie Willman of Taurus is the world champion. And we asked him about this unique course and driving that new truck.
Talk about the struggles in driving a new truck.
It's just the suspension's a lot more softer. It's got a lot more body roll. It's just a lot more hard to keep on the track.
And he's going to have to keep it on this roundy-round course. There's Jackie Willman, Taurus, the world champion. But the world champ is going up against Gravedigger for this matchup. Roundy-round racing, there they go. Gravedigger with a big lead. Jackie Willman having to turn it around, use the rear steer. Great job there. Now, oh, look at this. Lyle Hancock having some problem with Gravedigger. Jackie Willman makes the turn, a wide one, while the Gravedigger cannot make that turn and takes out a pole. It cost him, as it did Bigfoot. So we have the Bigfoot monster truck, and in this race we just saw, Gravedigger took out the pole. It happens right here. As he comes around, bing, you're out of there. That cost you the race. You must clear that pole on the turn. Next up, Fred Schaefer in Barefoot, and this guy's a veteran. He has some thoughts on this rather tough track.
It's muddy, of course, on the end where the mud racers are throwing mud at. This end's got sand for the mud racers to stop, so it's pretty tricky on both ends.
One more question. With a full house out there, to get you pumped up a little bit?
Yeah, I get crazy for a big crowd.
Let's see what's going to happen. Fred Schaefer at Pontoon Beach, Illinois with Barefoot, going up against Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. And Gary is a true competitor. We call him the Lone Wolf. He travels by himself on the circuit. Barefoot, Carolina Crusher on the start. Side by side, they go over the cars. Meet in the middle, turn around. And Porter has problems. that turn 2. Barefoot just smoking them. And Gary Porter doesn't even have a shot at this one before Fred Schaefer wins it. And look at the pole. It just falls down on its own. He says, everybody else has knocked me down, but nobody got close to him on that one. The win goes to Fred Schaefer and Barefoot. And Gary Porter's just sitting there scratching his head on that one. Fred Schaefer, look at that use of rear steer. He's got that thing dialed in. Over the cars. Just a beautiful run for the big Chevrolet Barefoot and Fred Schaefer. He was the world champion in 1990. He'd love to have it again in 92. And Fred Schaefer taking advantage of the problems Gary Porter having. So the Barefoot Monster Truck moves on to our next round of Monster Truck Challenge. From Providence, it's back to you, Ken.
Behind the wheel of the Equalizer. Expect a great race between the defending world champion and the hottest truck of 1992. Now, the other matchup has a veteran and a newcomer. Former world champion Fred Schaefer is the veteran in Barefoot. The newcomer is BIGFOOT's Dan Runte, back as the fast loser after hitting a turn pole in round 1 action. Here to describe the second round from Providence is the voice of Monster Truck Challenge, Joe Lowe.
The fans are on their feet in Providence. They've only seen round number 1, but they know round number 2 is coming up. And featured in this one, Jackie Willman and Taurus, who describes that round number 1 race.
Well, it was a little bit smoother ride than the first time, but still not satisfied with the performance around there. I'm just going to try to do better next time.
The word from the world champion, but he's going up against the hottest truck on the circuit this year, David Morris in the Equalizer out of Springfield, Tennessee. Jackie Willman, the world champ, he's ready. The Equalizer's ready. The crowd's ready, and here we go in Providence. They're both about even. Now the turn, that dreaded turn that's caused everybody problems today. And David Morris does, in fact, have problems. He swings way out. Jackie Willman under control. Great job. David Morris tried to come back again on that second turn. Had problems with the rear end coming about, and that cost him the win. Your winner right there, Jackie Willman, Taurus. Look at this. Great handling on Jackie's part. The rear steer in effect. Straightens it out over the cars. Just a few seconds ahead of the Equalizer. And advancing to our final, the world champion, Taurus. Again, David Morris had a lot of problems with rear steer, and it cost him the win here in Providence. Moving along to our next matchup, BIGFOOT and Barefoot. Barefoot and the veteran Fred Schaefer out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois.
Talk about the race against Carolina. Question.
Pretty close race. There was a little bit of mud on the one end there, and I got around the corners pretty good and did good.
How about the straight track as opposed to the circular track? What do you like better?
Well, I guess the older drivers like me has got a little more experience on the circular track, and I think my truck's probably a little bit more prepared than some of them because of the experience.
Experience is going to play a big factor here because he's going up against Dan Runte and BIGFOOT, a relative newcomer to the monster truck racing scene. He's piloting the big blue Ford BIGFOOT.
I like the track so far. It's pretty smooth as far as the corners. The cars are really smooth. Other than there is one hole in this blue set of cars that does throw you back up. The ramps are good. The corners are good and smooth. The sand helps a lot on the corners. I like the track.
Dan Runte likes the track in BIGFOOT. Fred Schaefer says Barefoot is ready, and there they go. On this important turn, both clear of the pole. BIGFOOT seems to have this track dialed in, and Fred Schaefer, whoa, Freddie, he has some problems. Dan Runte, he has problems on the turn, comes over the finish line first. It was not the prettiest win I've ever seen. This young man thinks it's too loud, and the crowd is just sitting mesmerized. The winner being announced to the crowd as BIGFOOT. Dan Runte, he had to watch this pole. That's the one he took out earlier. What a great job, but look, the rear end comes around. Dan Runte is out of shape, but he does keep 2 tires over the cars at all times. He crosses the finish line, stops it. Hey, the winner is BIGFOOT. Now notice that Barefoot's not even in the picture yet. He's not even over the cars. Experience didn't help Fred Schaefer this time, as Bigfoot is your winner. He'll take on Taurus in our Monster Final. And this crowd just can't wait for our next race.
Now that was probably the best round.
Bigfoot. They both come into the arena, and as you can see, they've been working on the track, that big piece of equipment, making sure everything is set for this Monster Final. Both drivers have been asked to size up the competition going to this championship. First, we speak with Jackie Willman of Taurus, and he talks about Bigfoot and the competition he has from him tonight.
What do you know about Bigfoot? What do you have to do to win?
Well, their truck's about the same as mine. It's kind of hard to go around the corner, so it'll be a good race.
Jackie Willman, the current world champion, and the truck that has never, ever won a U.S. Hot Rod Association World Championship, Bigfoot. Dan Runte has to go against Taurus.
Taurus is a tough competitor. The Ford Bigfoot's really been running outstanding. I just have to learn to work with the truck. This is only my third weekend in the truck. I was driving an old Bigfoot 7. I shouldn't say old, but it was a leaf spring truck where we're just on nitrogen shocks here, and it's a lot different ride and a lot different learning to drive it.
Well, he's been learning here tonight, Dan Runte of Bigfoot. He started out knocking over the turn pole, came back as the fastest loser, and finds himself in the championship against the world champion Taurus. There they go. Dead even going into turn number 1. Bigfoot whips it around. Taurus battles, loses a few feet to him. On the turn, the final turn. Bigfoot with the lead. Bigfoot wins it. Bigfoot wins it. He came back from behind. He knocked down the turn pole early on, but Bigfoot, a little luck and a lot of skill, Dan Runte takes the Bigfoot monster truck to a championship in Providence, Rhode Island. He has certainly learned to maneuver these turns. Look at this young man go. Whips it right around. The rear end does not come around this time. A near picture-perfect ride for Bigfoot in Providence. On the finish line, the camera shows you what it's all about. Bigfoot over as cars just barely approaches the cars. Your winner in Providence, Rhode Island, Bigfoot, and Dan Runte getting a big hug from his crew. He is one happy camper. And as they say, the agony of defeat, Jackie Willman suffering that right now in Taurus. Tough break for him. Jackie Willman, he was doing great, had a great run going for him, but again, the turns were too much. Gave it his best shot as the world champion. He knew everything was resting on him, a lot of pressure on him. He just slid around, had problems on that turn, and it just wasn't the night for Taurus to win. Again, Bigfoot your winner, and Providence in the Civic Center, and the first win for a young man from St. Louis, Missouri, Dan Runte, and Bigfoot, his first professional win.
What's running through your mind right now?
I'm happy. I'm really happy. I couldn't be any more happier.
Talk about the final run.
It basically the same as one before, you know, as far as Kenny and those guys. They kept telling me, keep making the same runs you've been making. Make the corners tight because you're going to slide in the corners because it is slippery. Whether you feel it or not in the truck, you are sliding. I'm happy the Ford Bigfoot did good.
Going to be a lot of wins for you down the line, Dan, but this one I guess you'll always remember as number 1.
You're exactly right, I will. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
Well, I know what to say.
For the U.S. Hot Rod Association, names like Fairleigh Tame.